And we are back. And we are back. Giving people a chance to get back on. Okay, we are back, and so how do I feel? I feel good. I feel good. Where is that dog? He must be in the kitchen. He loves to sleep in the kitchen. I think there's tile in the kitchen, so I think he likes the coolness of the tile. All right, let's see.
Hey, David.
Hi there.
Morning.
Good morning. Who's this?
My name is Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. Where are you in the world?
Well, I recently moved to LA
Okay.
from Puerto Rico like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I just woke up, so I'm sorry. I have my morning voice.
Oh, don't worry about it. We're all just waking up, lounging. Tell me about your new normal in LA. That's one of my favorite places. I have a home there.
I know, I love it here too. So I moved to North Hollywood.
Okay.
And it's been, I moved here, having, a new start, a fresh start. And every time I moved to LA, something happened. I moved to LA after Maria. I stayed here like 9 months. Things didn't work out. And I went back home. And then this time I was like, you know what? I want to go back. I feel like it's going to be my year. And boom.
And then this happens.
Yay. But hey,
Ricky.
I'm keeping myself positive and day by day. I mean, I got a job, and the same day that I got a job, we went in a lockdown. So that was when on Thursday. Today's Saturday. So yeah.
What type of work do you do, Ricky?
So I do freelance, and mostly I work in the casting department for like TV shows and whatever in Puerto Rico, or PA jobs. And I'm also a photographer, but I do stickers and I do shirts. So I do a lot of stuff. So
are you going to work in casting in LA?
no. So for now, I'm gonna work as a PA for like a photography studio when things
Okay.
go back to normal, because we're like in a lockdown, like stay at home,
Right.
lockdown until the April 19th.
Listen, one of my favorite sayings, and I've said it before, those of you watching, you probably heard it. Oprah always says, you do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. So my question for you is, what do you want to do?
I want to be a casting director.
Great. Listen, let me give you a little bit of advice, even though you're not asking for it. You got to put out into the world and verbalize what you want. I have said and spoken into the universe every dream that I have had. And my life has been richly blessed in the sense that somebody asked me the other day, what's next for you? Like you have this job. And I stopped and I said, I don't know, because I've never thought of it, because I'm doing what I always dreamed of doing. So that is my hope for you. You got to speak it. You got to say it on a platform like this, and then you got to pursue it. There's a lot of casting directors in Los Angeles. You can do it. I just want it to work for you this time, so you can stay and make it work.
And you know what? The thing is, things started to work for me back in 2019 after my birthday in November. I started doing what you said. Like, I mean, my motto in life is todo va a estar bien, everything's gonna be okay, which I make like, I have it everywhere. And I even have t-shirts. So, I'm just keeping myself, positive, even though, you know, I got the job, nothing's going to happen for now, but, you know, it's for our safety. So, and for the collective. So I'm just going to, you know, stay calm, stay at home, watch movies, get fatter, do TikToks, and
we're all gonna come out of this a little healthier, should I say, than we went into it. That's for sure. My next question is, when you say things started to really work out for me in 2019, what happened? What
my
what
attitude.
made it seem to start working?
Because my perspective, I was like, so I got, okay, so let me just do it like a little, how do I say it in English? I forgot. A
Say
context.
it in
So,
Spanish. What?
so I'm gonna say a little context. A
Okay.
context.
I
So
love context.
because okay, so when I went back home,
Yep.
I didn't find a lot of freelance work.
Okay.
So I started working in a like a normal job, working in a call center. So that was like destroying me a little bit in the inside.
Yep.
So, but I said to myself, Ricky, you need to fix a lot of things in your life. You need to let go of your past. You need to just die like for things that you're not letting go. And I started, you know, cleaning my soul, cleaning my heart, cleaning my wounds, and little by little things started to work again. And I was like, what? I even worked with Ricky Martin. He was like he is my role model. So like little by little, my dreams started to, you know, come up back on. And, you know, now I feel more, you know, mature. I feel more prepared. I feel more, you know, with perspective. And yeah. So let's see what's gonna happen.
So, Ricky, there's an analogy that you're describing. It's like peeling an onion. And as you peel the onion, there can be a little bit of a burn, there can be a little bit of a pain. But as we expose ourselves to that kind of pain, we start to process, we start to deal, and we start the journey of moving on, right?
Definitely moving on.
Is getting a call. You start the process of moving on. And that's the power that you're feeling, right? You by doing that, by literally looking at your pain, your failures, your insecurities in the mirror, you give yourself the permission and the courage to move forward, right? And so you're back in LA, you're
Yeah.
gonna try again, and you're gonna make it work. I got no doubt, my gut says you're gonna make it work.
Yes, I'm just gonna go in my own pace. I'm not gonna be like, I need to hustle, I need to do this, you do that. No, I'm just gonna go slowly and do whatever I need to do. But, you know, I'm not gonna rush or be like crazy. Obviously, I need to pay rent, but I'm just gonna be, you know, very patient. So, and thank you, David, for everything that have you done. And I saw you a few times in the manifestation for Ricky Renuncia. So thanks a lot, man. And you also know a friend of mine. His name is Christian Arroyo. He's a reporter.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I love him. Yeah. He's amazing. So yeah. So
good dude.
Nice talking to you.
I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you, but you're gonna be just fine.
Amen. I take that. Thank you so much. Do you mind if I screenshot so I can have it like?
Sure.
Okay. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Oh, we lost him. Bye, Ricky. What a nice guy. All right. So my sister called. Let me make sure everything's okay there. Hey, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing Instagram Live right now. Yeah. Because I'm talking to you on one phone and doing the Instagram Live on the other. People are watching me talk to you. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Okay, I'll call you later. Bye. Wow. Oh, my sister just said I was really calling you just to say thank you. I don't get those kinds of calls from my sister. Wow. I don't know what I did right, but I will be following up with that phone call later to find out why she wants to say thank you.
Hi
Hi there.
there.
Hi, what is your name?
Hi, my name is Bali.
Bali, where are you in the world?
I'm in Illinois, near to Chicago, 25 miles south.
Okay, tell me about your new normal.
Oh, I'm still at work. I work in a hotel, so we are not closed, but half of stuff is closed, like we pools closed, everything, but we still have few guests in the house. So we're still hanging in there.
Do y'all
It's
plan to stay open indefinitely?
so we just got a order, like we still gonna be stay open. Yeah, but we don't have too many guests at all.
How do you feel about staying open, being around people, being out and about? Illinois governor just instituted basically a curfew. You got to stay in your house 24 hours a day unless you're going to the grocery store, the bank, or the doctor. So how do you feel?
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's not normal. I mean, it's beyond. I mean,
It's not normal. That's a good way to put it. It's not normal.
I'm having anxiety. Like even when I have a guest, of course we have to entertain them who's staying here. We cannot tell them to leave. Some people they don't have no place to go. I mean, they will be homeless. More danger for them. But yeah, we are sticking around for them. Yeah. But yeah, it's
And what
very
is your
slow.
role? Somebody was asking on here, what is your role at the hotel?
Oh, I at the front desk here.
Okay, so you're constantly coming in contact with people. Do
Yes.
you, Bali, do you wear gloves? Do you wear a mask?
I'm wearing gloves, yeah, but we are very slow right now, I mean, and
Yeah.
we constantly cleaning with the sanitizing the front area, yeah,
You're doing
so
what you can do. You're doing what you can do.
yes, yes. And David, I'm a very
Yeah.
big fan of you. I really always follow you, what you did for Maria when you're always there, and I've been to Puerto Rico like a lot of times, and I love that
It's a
place. That's
great
like
place,
my.
isn't it?
I'm from India, but I love Puerto Rico. Yeah, and
Yeah, Puerto Rico's a great
I love what
place.
you do. Yeah,
Well, thank you. Thank you. Listen, I'm glad you weighed in. It was good to hear your story as well. So thank you.
thank you so much. You take care. Bye.
I can tell there's a big delay. So I think he was having, that's why there was a delay. Moon, Karma Moon.
Hi, David.
Hi, what is your name?
My name is Gabriela. I know it says Karma Moon, but my name is Gabriela. I'm actually from Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. I moved after the hurricane to Miami.
Miami. Okay, so you've been there since 2017.
Yes, I'm actually a student. I got a full scholarship to study here, so that's why I'm here.
Congratulations. So
Thank
tell me about your new normal.
So, being here, I've gotten the opportunity to have everything that I could have, because with the scholarship they gave me food and everything, but St. Thomas University no longer was able to give us a scholarship, so now in FIU, and I had to hustle literally to survive. So now I live in North Miami Beach. I had 3 jobs. I was hustling, working my ass off, and right now I work in Juice and Java, which is, I don't
Yes.
know if you know it.
Yes.
Okay. So
I used to live in Miami, so I know it. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So I love the job, but it's hard because I live here alone to be able to afford food and prepping and doing all of this while studying, is everything that's going on. It it's it's a game, because you're trying to study and you're trying to work, and it doesn't, I don't know how to explain it. Me frustra. I don't know, like I feel
Here's the thing. You
frustrated.
don't. you don't have to struggle, because I get it. Like, I hear you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Not that I've been through that situation, but like you are articulating yourself very well. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see where there will be a finish and you'll have a degree and the pay will get better and all that?
I hope so. I'm studying accounting, so I hope so. But but I feel for all the students that are here in the same position as me. We came to Miami about 60 students, and I keep connected with all of them. We have a group chat and we still talk, and we're all in the same position where we want to be together because we all helped each other. I remember that we had $5 in each of our accounts, and we would buy everything that we couldn't share with each other. And
I love it. I love it.
It's the most memorable memories that we've had, but now we can't be together, and it's just hard because I used to have funds in my account, but now buying everything that I need, I don't have funds in my account. And Florida still hasn't done anything like, California or New York, where they don't have to, they're closing down everything.
Right. They haven't done that yet in Florida. Would you like for them to?
Yes, because then for example, the restaurants where I work, we close the front door, but if there's a person that wants to order to go, they can come one person at a time. But it's still like I can hear people coughing, and I'm just
contact.
Like inside, like
yeah, too much contact.
Yeah.
What grade level are you?
I'm actually a junior.
Junior. You are there. You're like at 75%, right? So you got 25% left to go. And let me tell you something. Once you get that degree, the pay is probably gonna get better.
Yes.
You got a killer smile right now. So the smile is gonna get bigger as you finish everything, and you're gonna look back on this moment and you're going to say, the journey, though it was difficult, was an incredible journey. I've always said, I think in life, our journey is more rewarding than the finish line, because the finish line is a second. You get to the finish line, then it's like, okay, well, I made it to the finish line. It's the journey where we learn and we cry and we rejoice and we date and we break up. And, so you're on that journey. Don't stop.
Yay. And I just wanted to say, for like, some students don't know what to do right now for income. And I think it's really important. I've seen all my career advisors that they're posting to intern online. There's online interns. So for all the students that need an income, they can try. And there's still internships for the government, for many places. I'm looking here. Amazon is, my career advisor said that Amazon is looking for online jobs. So people can still find jobs online. And I'm currently here, I don't know how to do this, but I'm currently here doing my schoolwork and everything at FIU.
Yeah.
And, it's hard, but students need to keep working, and
keep going. Look, there's a lady that just wrote a comment. I want to read it to you. It says, I tell my students that a degree doesn't buy happiness, but it sure as hell buys you choices. Amen to that. Come in. That's Paddington's dog walker. She's gonna stay 6 feet away.
Okay.
Hi. I was just telling people that when you come, you stay 6 feet away and you have a mask.
I only bring the mask of the elevator.
Well, of course. No, I'm glad you got a mask.
I have to.
She got a mask.
He's so excited to see. He is so excited to see her because he knows he's getting out of prison.
Oh, that's so cute.
He now for love.
He comes to you for love. That's right.
He comes for love, reassurance.
Oh, she said he comes to me now for love. He only used to come for water. He is a love. He's a love. So I think one day he's going to be as tall as you when he stands on his feet.
He's gonna be big. I'm telling you. You told me he's gonna be 40 pounds.
Yeah.
I think that he's gonna be up to 70 perhaps.
Oh no, he ain't gonna be no.
Say-
Oh no, he ain't gonna be. If he's 70 pounds, somebody's gonna get a. Oh no.
David, I
So-
wanted to say
Yes,
also,
yes.
my grandparents are still living in Aguadilla. They're the only ones. They're 80 years old,
Okay.
and they're there alone, you know. And it still overall, I know that this is crazy how you support us so much, and that you are here building this platform so we can speak out. And I know a lot of people who left Puerto Rico like me at this young age who take care of their family are passing through the same thing. But I just, again, like everybody else, I want to say thank you, because if it wasn't for this platform that you created, I wouldn't be able to keep up, you know. And it's so important to me. So far away, I'm like, Grandma, what happened? You know. And I saw David on the news, he's saying this, and you know, no news is as real as you are, to be honest. No news. And it's amazing.
Thank you. It's been a joy to talk to you. It really has been.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
It's been a joy. I wish you all the best. I hope one day I get to find out where you are, because
Yes.
big things are ahead. Look,
Yes,
you can't be so positive. You can't be so driven. You can't be so courageous and not succeed. It's
Yes.
just not possible.
Oh, thank you.
You will be. Good luck to you.
You too.
Bye-bye. Oh, Lord, here goes this dang button again. Okay, so if you are hoping for me to bring you in, I now need you to leave a comment in the comments section so that I can bring you in that way, because the button that I'm supposed to push ain't working. Ain't working.
Oh my God!
Hello, what is your name?
Good morning.
Good morning. Who are you and where are you?
I am in New Jersey. My name is Angelica. I was just in the middle of this.
Make that coffee, ma'am. Make that coffee. So your governor is set to speak, I think now in an hour. It got pushed back, and we'll find out if he's going to shut everything down.
Where I live in Pompton Lakes. It's pretty quiet up here.
Yep.
People are very vigilant.
Good.
Nobody's really going out unless they have to.
Yep.
I live in a smaller town, so everybody's just kind of, hey, if you need something, don't go out, tell us. We had a police officer delivering formula to a mom who couldn't find any formula.
I love that. Your new normal is?
My new normal is right here.
Oh, look at that little nugget. How old?
Say hi. Marcus, say hi.
How old is Mr. Marcus?
Marcus is 4.
He's 4.
And my daughter, Ariana, is 7.
Okay.
It was a little scary at first when everything happened. The first place I went to was the pharmacy because his name is David.
Hi.
Let me feed you the waffles. It was a little worrisome at first because my 4-year-old, he has kidney disease.
Oh.
So my first concern was, oh my God, I have to get his medicine before people go crazy at the pharmacy.
Right.
And then it was like, oh my God, am I going to find his low sodium products that he eats? Which I haven't, actually. People have been going crazy. Hello.
Hi.
I've been going crazy buying stuff. So normally the low sodium diet I have him on, he's been kind of cheating on that diet, which kind of sucks because I already see him retaining fluids.
Can he still get? Well, he's not on dialysis.
No. He's not
Okay.
there.
Okay.
He has a very rare kidney disease called nephrotic syndrome,
Okay.
which is called by a genetic mutation.
Wow. Is there something that can be done to permanently heal?
I'm sorry, is there what?
Is there something that can be done to heal him?
No. So in his case, there's different cases. Some people take steroids to help them. In his case, steroids don't work for him. So he's basically just on high blood pressure meds, which help with the protein that he's releasing through his kidneys. And it's just kind of like more like delaying the disease at this point, trying to like help him with symptoms. Like if his blood pressure goes up, low sodium to help with the retaining of the fluids. But no.
And he's 4?
Yeah, he's 4. He was diagnosed when he was 2 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. We were actually supposed to go, I was actually supposed to go to a conference in Orlando next month. It's called the NephCure Leadership Summit, to learn more about the disease and, like clinical trials that they're having. But it got canceled last minute because of everything that was going on.
Of course.
And it was just kind of like I was thrown into becoming a teacher. And I'm also going to college. This was supposed to be my last semester.
What you studying?
Psychology.
Ah.
Which I love that the previous guy that was talking about anxiety. Because
Right.
I feel a lot of people are discussing like symptoms and stuff, but not enough people are talking about the amount of anxiety or like mental health problems that people are going through this.
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of the things that I'm grateful for, and I'll show it to you as I say it, is my ability to sit by a window. My ability to sit by a window and get some sun.
That is such a beautiful
I've never
view.
appreciated. Well, thank you. I've never appreciated the ability to sort of sit in the sun as much as I do now.
Well, you're always going around the world.
I am. There's Manhattan. Can you see? Let me see if I can point out buildings to you. So, the Empire State Building would be there, right? And then One World Trade is there, right? No? Yes. There, right? The little spire in the air. And then that's just all of Lower Manhattan. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's beautiful there. I wish I could introduce you to my husband. He's a firefighter. He just came back from his shift and he's knocked out.
Yeah. Well, but let me ask you a question about that. So he's going out and about and you don't know what he's coming home with. So is that something I was just telling everybody a little while ago, there are 2 doctors in Atlanta, and the wife, who's a doctor, told the husband, who's a doctor, in the emergency room, you gotta go somewhere else. So he moved into the garage of the house, and he's living in the garage. I mean, have you guys talked about? I mean, as a first responder, he could very well come in contact with someone who has COVID-19.
Absolutely. We've talked about it. It's something that weighs heavily in the back of our minds. For the moment, we're kind of we don't leave the house unless we have to, absolutely. And the minute he comes in, he goes through kind of like a little decontamination. We have a bathroom right by the front door.
Yep.
So the minute he comes in, he throws his clothes directly into the washer and he takes a shower top to bottom. And he's kind of been like keeping his distance a little bit, especially because of our son. And I have 2 parents that have a lot of underlying health problems. So they're not allowed to come visit at all. We do a lot of FaceTime. That's the best we can do for now.
What you got to do. Listen, somebody was asking where you're from. So
I'm from Pompton Lake, so northern New Jersey.
Yeah. Listen, thank you for weighing in. I wish you all the best, especially for your son. I can't stop thinking about him.
Thank you so much. I have a quick question. What do you think about UCLA doing their online commencement?
So that's really interesting. Well, first of all, a lot of commencements are not going to happen. So I guess if doing it virtually allows it to happen, that's a good thing. But I bet there's a whole lot of students that are going to be disappointed that they can't walk across that stage. Why do you ask?
I was just wondering because I know there's people that were for it and people that were against it. So I was just wondering what your opinion on it was.
Look,
Personally, I've been waiting like 10 years for this moment, and I'm not going to get it. So I'm very upset about that.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why I would never say to someone, "Oh, just get over it. It's fine." You know, because I get it. People want that moment, and maybe some people would say, "Listen, just delay it until when the world is ready to do it." And if that's next February, then do next February. If it's August, do August. So I wouldn't want to tell people how to feel, but to me, if it was the difference between no graduation and a virtual graduation, I mean, maybe a virtual graduation for those who want to do it is worth it, you know? I don't know. Do you want to be a psychologist?
No, actually, I got accepted to Ramapo College here in New Jersey for biology. And I'm hoping to one day get accepted into the physician assistant program to become a PA. My family's from Puerto Rico.
Awesome.
So everything I've seen during these disasters has just motivated me. Between that and my son, it's just motivated me to want to go into the medical field to help out.
Awesome. My very, very best to you.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
You too, love. Bye-bye. Boy, you never know what other folks are going through, huh? Okay, so in the comments section, if you are looking to join in, tell me, David, I am looking to join in. Because this little button at the bottom ain't cooperating.
Ooh, it's me.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're welcome. What is your name?
Rebecca Morales.
Where are you in the world?
I'm in Bronx, New York.
Okay, and your new normal is?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's part of my new normal, and there's the other part of my new normal. And we are here desperately trying to deal with the remote distance learning that the DOE has put in place, while simultaneously dealing with remote distance working. So I am a clinical social worker. I work on a crisis team. I am expected to provide services for my normal workday that will include Google Meets, various Microsoft team meeting platforms, all of these new platforms at the same time that my children, who are 6-year-old twins, and I am a single mom, right, are supposed to be on alternate platforms learning school stuff, right? So yesterday we decided to do like a run through. So I'm sitting here trying to do my work and going online and doing meetings and trying to be professional and providing, you know, whatever sort of crisis support I'm supposed to do. And then you've got the kids. Mommy, what's this word? Mommy, how do I erase this? Mommy, how do I backspace? Mommy, how do I change this in my science homework? Mommy, I want to do my math homework. So I reach out to the school and I let them know that this is too much, right? That first of all, I can't split myself in 3, right? I have twin girls, they're 6. I cannot split myself in 3. I can't put them on Zoom Meets at the same time I'm supposed to be on Google Meets somewhere else, right? So what I'm hearing is, well, everybody else is trying to be positive and everybody else is trying to make this work. And we have to do this for my kids. So what do I come across feeling? Like a failure as a mom. I want my kids to learn. I want my kids to thrive, but I cannot split myself in 3. And I'm not the only mom to feel this way, right? I'm trying desperately here, but like, I don't see how people are making this work, right? So now on Saturday, I said, okay, so can I do it after my work day, right? Can I do it at 3:20? I'm not saying I don't want to do it at all, right? Can I do it after 3:20? Or can I do it on the weekends with them? Nope. Google Classroom monitors when you go in. They take attendance at 8 o'clock. They monitor how long you're doing the assignments. You have to upload the assignments. How are these 6-year-olds doing that? It's just impossible. So I emailed the superintendent. I'm trying to get, I've emailed various politicians. I'm trying, as a mental health professional, I know the anxious brain can't work. These kids are anxious, right? I'm anxious. I mean, you can't get food staples. You understand? So how are we worried about 2 + 2 or whatever, other stuff that they have to do? Give them a break.
What's the answer? Because this may go on for a while.
I get it, but
what's the manageable? I mean, what do you feel like will be manageable?
Okay, so I feel like let's not make it so that kids can't do it at alternate times, right? Parents want to help, but if I'm required to do something during, 8:20 to 3:20 or 3:50, then they can't do the same things at that time, right? So lighten the load, first of all. Second of all, let's appreciate the benefit of imaginative play. Let's appreciate that this, right? This is also math. This is cooperative play. This is architecture. This is a whole bunch of stuff, right? Let's not only focus on the, arithmetic, the standard arithmetic, right? My understanding is the state tests have been suspended. So if that's the case, then let's revisit this in September. A few months where kids are learning basic life skills, they're learning yoga, they're learning other stuff, isn't going to be such a detriment. It will be more of a detriment if parents are busy yelling at them because we're all frustrated and we're all anxious. And you know what? I'm not a teacher. I don't ask the teachers to go into my wheelhouse and teach social emotional learning, although I know that they're supposed to do that now, right? But I don't ask that. So don't ask me to do Common Core stuff with them, which I didn't even learn. Right? So now I'm going to be confusing them because they're going to be carrying the one, because that's how I learned. So what I'm saying is, let's just take a breath. In a crisis, we go back to basics. In a crisis, we don't start anything new. We don't start all the remote distance learning. I even have one laptop for my kids. How do they both log on at 8 o'clock? So this is what I'm saying. Something has to be done. And if you look at various Facebook, all parents are complaining, all of them.
So let me say this to you. You are the teacher, you're the mom, you're in charge. I don't see a world where you go back and they say, well, you didn't do A, B, and C, so your kid's not going to.
Really? Because I sent you a screenshot of the dojo conversation that I had with their teacher yesterday. That the DOE is definitely monitoring their attendance, monitoring the class submission, the homework assignment submissions, and so nobody knows.
Well, something's gonna have to give. I mean, I for everything you've just laid out, which is overwhelmingly and obviously legitimate, I just don't see how you can hold parents to that kind of standard when mom is dealing with what she's dealing with work-wise and she's dealing with the other kid. I mean, you're clearly not a failure, and the benefit is that because of your work, you have the ability to be self-aware, and you have the ability to have conversations like this and say, hey, here's what I'm feeling. I think about the other people who are watching right now who don't have that sort of awareness or training and are drowning in it. Drowning in it.
Yeah, it's going to increase the anxiety. It's going to increase depression.
Yeah.
This is what I do for a living. Let's just think about that. That's all.
Yeah. This is this may be the most powerful stories we've heard, and so I'm really grateful for candor. I'm really grateful for the candor, because what I want everybody watching this to know is that if a woman who's in a social work profession is feeling anxious and pent up, and we're only 4 days into this, can you imagine what's going to happen if we're 30, 60, and 90 days?
Yes. I knew you would get it.
Something's got to give. And so what I will say to you is that I think as I continue to do things like this, something will give. I may be naive. Something is going to give. It just, listen, I salute teachers for sticking to standards and wanting to hold children accountable, because we've had a lot of teachers come on this platform and say, I'm trying to keep them in a routine and I'm trying to do. Well, the reality is that's not real life.
Exactly.
That's not real life. So I think, in all fairness to the teachers who may be watching, they're going to bend a bit. Everybody's going to have to freaking bend a bit.
And those teachers have kids too, that they also supposed to homeschool simultaneously.
Absolutely.
How effective are they going to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, you just told some truth right here.
Thank you so
Oh
much.
my Lord, this was some wicked truth telling. Wicked truth telling. But you're not a failure. And even people who are self-aware like you need to be told that. You are not a failure. In fact, I think the gift you give all of us is a frank reminder that we need to bend a bit. I'm going to need the teacher to bend. I'm going to need the landlord to bend. I'm going to need the dog walker to bend. I'm going to need the doctor to bend. Like, we all going to have to bend. And the doctor, listen, the doctors are doing great work. I'm just saying, as they call you and they cancel appointments, I'm thinking about the person who says, I know you don't feel like this is an emergency thing, but I really am having symptoms that feel like an emergency to me. The doctor's going to have to bend it, because listen, I had an appointment with a doctor to follow up, and she called me and she said, do you need to come in? And I said, no, I definitely don't. But she said, oh, thank you. She said, I just talked to 2 people who said they really do. And she said, I'm kind of nervous. And this is an Italian doctor whose parents are in Italy. And she is so consumed with everything involving her mom and her brother and everything right now. I said, how are you even able to focus? And she said, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is. And I mean, I was laughing before when you were like saying to Paddington, did you just break that ball? Did you just, right? And I'm thinking, here I am trying to be professional, right? As I'm like, wait, stop, could you not just, right? With my twins, this is a mess.
Totally. Oh, I'm so glad we heard from you. I want to end by saying this. You are heard.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are heard. God bless.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope we get to check back in with her. My Lord. That was some honesty right there. I mean, look, everybody's been giving honesty, but and you know what's interesting is, as you listen to her, it reminds me that we all arrive at a breaking point or near a breaking point at different times, right? So for her, she's really having a moment. Next week, it might be somebody we talked to 10 minutes ago who reaches a breaking point or a boiling over point. We all come to that point different ways and at different times. I want to let you all know that I have just seen the news and am sharing it, that Puerto Rico is now reporting its first death regarding coronavirus. It involves a Italian tourist who arrived on the island via a cruise ship, and she died. It was a female. Oh, actually, hold on just one second. Stand by. Got some breaking news. Okay, yeah. So basically, it looks to be the male, not the female. It looks to be the male, because the Department of Health says, we report the death of the Italian patient who was traveling on the cruise Costa Luminoso and who tested positive for COVID-19, the presence of which will not be disclosed for privacy reasons, prevented his recovery. Okay, so basically what they're saying is he had underlying health conditions, and that is what contributed to his death. So the Italian tourists, there were 2 that arrived and had been hospitalized, both tested positive, a husband and wife, and the husband, sorry about that, the husband died. Hey, babe. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. Yeah, so it was a husband and wife, both of them tested positive, and he died. Okay, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is interesting. So I'm seeing this graphic. White House cancels year-end testing for schools. It's going to have a big impact. Okay, let me check my alerts again, what people are sending me. It is the woman, right? Paddington is on a walk right now. Hi there. Hi. So, so listen, but the tweet that I put out doesn't denote a she, correct? So you were just pointing out that it's the he based on their tweet. Oh, so it is the woman. See, this is where context is important, or not context, but proper translation. So it's the, okay, so the la denotes the female.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And
but
that's the official health department tweet.
Of course. So it's the female who passed away. So what we know is, this is Dr. Bonilla, by the way, everybody watching. She's a professor. It's a professor of anthropology, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, professor of anthropology at Hunter College here in New York City. So in fact, it is the Italian tourist, the female. Essentially, she and her husband both arrived on the island of Puerto Rico. She tested positive, he tested positive for COVID-19, and she has passed away. Listen, I was going to tell you, do you want to do it? Do you want to do it now? Of course I can. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, love. Bye-bye. So what we're going to do is a little unique because I'm trying to lean into these different situations that we're living in now, right? So Miss Bonilla has asked her students that she deals with at Hunter College to collaborate with her on a project that collects the stories that we're getting here. She is very interested in documenting people's stories as we go through this situation. And so it's not really me to tell her yes or no, because anytime you come on a public platform like this, you're allowing other people to hear your story. And so each time I do one of these lives, I always save it to my Instagram story, and it is up there for 24 hours. Miss Bonilla wants to preserve it for longer. So anyway, she would like to interview me about what we're doing, sort of this, somebody said it was like therapy earlier. It does kind of feel like group therapy. So she wants to do an interview. And I said, well, instead of doing an interview offline, why don't we do an interview right here? And she said, okay, why not? Right? Lean in. That's what we're doing. Okay. So remember, my button is not working. So I need you in the comment section below to let me know if you would like to join in the comment section below.
Oh, hi.
Hello to you.
How are you?
I'm good. What is your name?
My name is Tatiana. I am from Puerto Rico. I
Okay.
live in Southwest Michigan in a
Okay.
little town called Berrien Springs.
Okay.
I am actually currently sitting in my car by Lake Michigan in Chicago. I just dropped off my son. He had to travel to Orlando because his flight got canceled from Monday.
Okay.
So he came in for spring break, and all of our plans got canceled. NBA games, going to the city. We're about 2 hours away from the city of Chicago, so we come here a lot. And it's been crazy. Our university went from, obviously, from, in-person classes to online transitioning. We have a lot of international students who are basically no longer without a job, and it's been really, really, really hard. I'm a single parent. I'm a graduate student. I'm in seminary. This is my second to last semester.
So you're going to
And
be seminary. Sorry, my battery's running low. Let me turn here. So seminary,
sure.
are you going to be like a preacher?
Well, yeah, preacher, pastor, chaplain, minister, however people want to call it, spiritual giver.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes, yes. So I'm on my second to last semester, and
Okay.
I'm scheduled to graduate in August. So I'm hoping and praying that it does happen, and if not, then it doesn't. But a lot of the seniors graduating for class of 2020 that were scheduled to graduate in May are, no longer having that. So it's been a struggle where we are. I work as a substitute teacher for the Berrien County public schools, and I'm not working, and I'm not working at the university. I have an 8-year-old who's also transitioning to doing stuff at work. We're working from home. So we're trying to make it. I had a breakdown yesterday and my son was like, "Mommy, it's okay. Things happen."
What
But
triggered the breakdown?
well, it's because a couple of months ago, we had some plans in Florida to spend together at my brother's wedding. But it couldn't happen because there was a death in the family. So all those family plans were kind of like down the drain, which is understandable. I'm not mad at that at all. But, it was like, man, we have all these plans. And then, they just changed. And then the spring break plans that we had, because, his spring break from Florida coincided with my spring break in Michigan. We had all these plans, and they also went just down the drain, and not being able to go out much and not being able to have a lot of contact. My sister, she's also pregnant. She's due in 2 weeks, and she just, she's at home, which is a blessing. I'm super excited about that, but I won't be able to be present at the birth like she had in her birth plan. Only her husband can go.
Yeah, that's tough.
And
I just lost a coworker. I'm sorry, wrong. I have a coworker who just lost his mother, and they were practically alone for the service.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I hear you, like, for the birth of a relative, like that's
And it's my first nephew. All this time, I have a 22-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and I have an 8-year-old.
Oh my Lord.
So
My Lord,
this,
I break down just right there. Oh my Lord. That's a lot of work.
so
That's a
it
lot. You know
is.
what? That's a lot of work, and it's also like where you are emotionally at 21, where you at 8. So it's like different. Oh my
It's
Lord.
3 parenting styles. It's 3
Right.
different personalities.
Right.
My 2 oldest are boys. My youngest one is the little girl, and she's so driven and so like, we watch your videos all the time. I've been following you since Maria. I was asking myself, who is this David guy at the island? Just saying so much about it. And I remember when you were saying, I've never been here in Puerto Rico, and I've been following you since then. And my family is so, so appreciative of your work and keeping us informed. And I was watching in one of your lives a couple of days ago when someone said, if David said it, then it's right. So we definitely, we've been following since then. And my daughter, she's like, Mom, this is really rough. And she also takes Taekwondo classes. So they're going to do Taekwondo online. I'm going to have, our spring break was extended a week. So I believe as of March 30th, it's when we're going to go to online classes, and we're going to see how it's going to work. We're going to be doing Zoom meetings. We're going to be just looking at lectures online, just somehow, some way, making it work. But, as a single parent, and now unemployed and a graduate student, and my daughter, she absorbs a lot because, she needs a lot of attention when it comes to teaching. So working as a substitute teacher helps me to work with a curriculum and just making it work at home. But as I heard the mom earlier, it's like, having to do your schoolwork and then having to do her schoolwork all at the same time. There's only one laptop. There's only so much I can do. I can use my phone and I can log in and do things from my phone, but the resources are very limited. And then, we do a lot of research in seminary as well. So not having the library open and the things that we need, it's kind of like, what do we do now? And the town that I live in, it's very small. And we had an artist that came to our university on March 8th. She had a concert and she tested positive for the virus. So a lot of the students were concerned because some of them that had meet and greets with her, and they were like, what if we have it? So, the health department from our county, they were like, you know what, just wait until about 14 days, wait for any symptoms, anything like that, and then get tested. A lot of the students have gotten tested and apparently it's negative, but we're concerned because what if, that what if question in the back of our minds, what if this, what if that? And, as a believer, yes, I do have my faith and I do have my hope and I do my prayers and things like that, but I'm also a human and I have to feel my way through this whole situation. And it is frustrating. Sometimes I feel angry. Sometimes I feel upset. It's like going through the stages of grieving. Honestly, you go through denial, you go through kind of like, what do you do until I guess the acceptance parts hit, and it hasn't hit yet.
If I can be motivated by one thing you said, one of several, it is this: we have to give ourselves permission to understand that we are human. And
Yes.
when we feel anxious and when we lash out and when we criticize our kid or when I yell at the dog or whatever, we are human. And to fail to recognize that is to beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
When you recognize your humanness, you can step back and say, that was a very human moment for me. I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable, or I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
scared, or I'm feeling just a little anxious. So that's a really powerful thing that you said right there. Do you feel, it occurred to me as you were talking, you are journaling. You are journaling
Mm-hmm.
right here.
I am.
And there are 226 people
Mm-hmm.
watching you journal.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
a beautiful thing. That's a
Yes.
beautiful thing.
Yes. I also journal, writing. I journal every day. I process my emotions through journaling, through singing. I love music. I do dancing, and we have to find ways to channel all of that we're feeling. We just have to, because if not, we'll just go crazy. My son at one point, he was like, oh, I'm okay. And I was like, no, you're not. It's okay for you to let me know how you feel. And he was like, honestly, Mom, I'm annoyed. He was like,
That's awesome.
He's like, I feel so annoyed right now. This sucks. And he was able to let it out, because we have to teach our boys that it's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to just say how you feel. There's nothing wrong with showing emotion. But, our Latino culture, it's like, no, boys don't cry, this and that. And I'm like, no, let them feel, especially at this time, because as the mom said earlier, the social worker, it is very frustrating. And, we have to be flexible on this. There's no way that we can just be like, oh, it has to be this way. No, there's got to be flexibility in this situation because it's unprecedented, it's unexpected, and we cannot control it. Amen. And the best thing to do is...
Oh, Tatiana, the Instagram police gotcha. We've done an hour. It's our second hour, and we're starting our third hour at 12:40. And the Instagram police gotcha. After an hour, they cut us off. So as I wait for everybody to get back on, We were just speaking with Tatiana, who was sitting on the side of, I believe she said Lake Michigan, and really giving us some soulful truth regarding what she's going through. And the Instagram police cut you off, honey. So I apologize, but that's what happens after an hour. I should be keeping like a stopwatch. Look, let's bring her right back in and let her finish what she was saying.
Back.
That's the Instagram police that got you after an hour.
Yes, look, let me show you really quick. There I am.
There it is. There it is. So,
yes, I had to take a moment to park and decompress, because after I left my kid, I was like, I need a moment. I need a moment. And I love to be by the beach, even though I don't call this a beach, it's a lake. But I was like, as an Islander and a Floridian, I know what a beach is. I was like, I need to just park and just decompress, and just watching people walking with their dogs and just jogging. And I'm about to actually go out in a little bit and just listen to the waves to kind of like come down and then go back home. It's about a 2-hour drive.
One of my favorite things about being in Puerto Rico is, if I'm lucky enough to have a balcony at my hotel room, is to sit out on the balcony and listen to the waves. I'm not a big beach person. And so for me, rather than sitting out there, because I just turned red, rather than sitting out there during the day, I love to sit by the beach at night.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is.
Listen,
it's so therapeutic.
It's been beautiful to listen to you.
Thank you
for sharing your story. And lean into it is my favorite phrase. Lean
That's
into
right.
it, right? Like
That's right.
Lean. So when you start to feel that pain, like give yourself a safe space to feel it and lean into it. Lean into
Absolutely.
it.
Can I take a quick screenshot so I can send it to my family?
Do it.
All right. Thanks. Awesome. Thank you so much, and you have a blessed day.
You too. God bless you.
All right.
Yeah, for everybody who's telling me about the death in Puerto Rico, that is correct. In fact, I just reported that about 10 minutes ago. Puerto Rico is reporting its first death from COVID-19. It involves an Italian tourist, a female Italian tourist, who arrived on the island on the Costa Luminoso, and she has passed away. According to the health department, there were other underlying health issues that she had, which contributed to her death. Hello. Hi. What is your name?
My name is Aishni, and I live in Jersey City.
Okay. And your new normal is?
Well, I'm a school-based clinician, so fortunately, I haven't actually had to go to the school because they've closed down. So we're trying to make it work virtually with the students.
Yeah, and how's that working? Did you hear the mom who was on 2 ladies ago who literally is having like a moment?
Yeah, my particular school, actually, ironically, it's in the Bronx, and they've been pretty supportive. So I'm not sure what's going on with the other schools. We have provided equipment, so we'll see what happens, I guess. But the schools have been very supportive. They've closed down. They're just waiting to see what's next.
What do you say to parents like that mom who we just heard from, who says, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm being told to do A, B, and C while I'm trying to do D, E, and F with my job. And they're telling us to do this and holding us accountable. I mean, do you feel like teachers are going to be flexible?
To be honest, the school I'm in is actually, the teachers there were kind of in panic mode. So I'm not sure how flexible they're going to be. But that's where services like mine come in, where we provide mental health services. They can get referrals if they need a little bit more support, and just do the best that they can, because honestly, like, it's unrealistic to expect a mom with multiple children to teach them all at the same time, especially at that age. Totally.
And I think it's incumbent upon, if there's a principal on here, I'd love to hear from a principal or someone who's it's incumbent upon the administration to come in and say, listen, we will aim for this, but we will also give grace and understand parents who just can't meet the bar that would regularly be set in a classroom.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think that, again, fortunately, my school has been very supportive with that, and my principal has been very flexible. So we'll see. We'll see. People definitely need to step up and let the parents know, you know, we're hearing what's going on and what their frustrations are, and, you know, we'll do what we can to support them.
Amen. I'm so glad you joined in. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, and thank you, David, for everything you've done for Puerto Rico. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, love. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hello? Hello? I think somebody left us in the car. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Oh. Oh, I was just getting my groceries out.
You were getting your
I
groceries.
just got back
That's okay.
home.
I said, I think somebody left us in the car.
Well, yeah, I just got back home from trying to get a few things. And I know that things are going crazy here lately, and they're thinking maybe closing everybody in the house soon. So I have 3 kids. My husband, he has a grocery store, which he's been working since day one, since the lockdown, but maybe even that might be closed soon. So I was just getting
So
back
tell me,
from trying to get
I lost you. Where are you? Where are you?
in Puerto Rico. I live in Atorrey.
Atorrey. Okay, so you went to the supermarket, so you're getting that. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your new normal.
Okay, let me take a deep breath. My new normal is I'm a kindergarten teacher in a private school. I have 3 boys. One, he's in 11th grade. The other one is in 10th grade. And I have a little one who is in the autism spectrum. He's 7. So homeschooling, and I'm also distant learning for my kindergartners.
It's a lot. I was just talking to a mother before I brought you on, who is sort of in its end. All these things that teachers have said you got to do, and she's trying to work from home too, and she's like, this is not manageable. What are you as a teacher? Are you sort of being flexible with parents who are saying, listen, I know what you want us to do, but it's impossible with me trying to manage the household and the other kids and maybe work from home?
Oh yeah, in my school, since you know it's a private school, I have a lot of doctors that have to be out there working. So sending out weekly plans and letting them know, work at your own pace, and you know you don't need to do it at that certain hour. You could do it in the weekends, during nights, whenever you can. It's just to keep up with what you need to know, but not to feel the pressure to do it at that moment. In my case, I haven't been able to take care of my little one as I would like to, because we have to we've been constantly trained online in Skype. With the new distant learning, it's been a lot. And also, you know, taking care of the little ones and the students' needs. So, I mean, yesterday I felt like I was having a meltdown. I had to breathe and take a break. And today I said, I'm going to stop and get my family in order, and then I'll go back on Tuesday, because hopefully Monday here is a holiday. We don't get to work. But what we heard, we have like a professional development that day, so we have like a little work, even though we don't have to work.
Are you doing this professional development remotely, online?
Yes, everything is being remotely. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. When you had that moment where you felt like you were going to have a meltdown, what did you do that picked you back?
Well, in our school, we work a lot with the social and emotional learning program. And I had just finished my Skype meeting with my kindergarten class. And I had reached out to them and reminded them how we need to believe that we can do this. You know, I was giving them reinforcement on how to believe that we can do this. We can do this, remember, because I always tell them that we can do this. Never tell yourself that you can't. Always believe that you can. And especially in these hard times, we need to believe that we can. And we did a little exercise with them, 3 breathings, breathe out. And then when I hung up, I said, oh my God, am I actually feeling relaxed? So I kept on doing the same exercise for myself. 2 days ago, my older son, it was his 17th birthday, and he was letting me know, being in Puerto Rico, Mom, in my short life, I've had to live so much already, you know, because of Maria, the earthquakes just recently, and now this. And one of my words to him was that, you know, this is going to provide him a lot of wisdom in life to have bigger tools to manage other things.
That is profound. That is profound. A 17-year-old who had, because Maria would have happened when he was how old?
Well, that
13?
he was 15. 15, now he's 17.
Okay.
Oh, 14, yeah, 14, 15. Maria was what, 3 years ago?
No, Maria was 2017, so he would have been
15.
He would have been 14, right?
14, yes, 14.
Yeah. So, wow. A hurricane,
Yeah.
earthquakes, and wow. Wow.
Yeah. So for him, has been a big life, you know, constant lesson that is just a lot, you know, a lot.
Wow. I'm so glad to hear
And
from
also
you.
the political situation, because he loves politics. He loves politics, so he's always looking into that. So what happened here too with Ricky Rosselló was another lesson for him too.
It's the 17-year-old loves politics. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know where he got that from.
Well, listen,
Yeah, he does.
It's wonderful to hear from you. Thank you for doing what you're doing for the kids, and I hope this conversation has been somewhat cathartic for you. Oh, and just as I was, can you hear me? Oh, signal started to die. Okay, everyone. So I am going to bring in Miss Bonilla, who is the professor. Actually, Miss Bonilla, I do not see you in the queue. Are you in? I do not see you in the queue. Miss Bonilla, leave a comment below and I can bring you in that way. If you'll post a comment right now, I can bring you in that way. She said 1 second. She is here. Okay, so let's bring her in. Good afternoon.
Hi, can you see me?
I see you. So for everyone watching, Miss Bonilla is a professor of anthropology at Hunter College in New York City. She is in New York right now or in Puerto Rico?
No, I'm in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay, she is Puerto Rican. And so she has been, she's tasked her students with helping her compile some of these journal entries. Miss Bonilla, I'm really referring to this now as like a virtual journal, because people are coming here and just really unloading wisdom and emotion and anxiety in such a profound way. So she wanted to interview me as part of this project, and I said, well, why don't we lean into the situation and why don't we do it here in front of all of you? So that's what we're doing. I'm ready. I'm listening.
Okay, so the first question I have for you, riffing off of your own experiment, what's your new normal? What's been your new normal this past week?
My new normal is turning into using the platform that I have to give people a vehicle to express themselves. And by doing that, it's helping me, because I don't know what I would be doing. I mean, I guess I would be watching a lot of television. I tend to consume a ton of news. So it's not, this is right up my alley, so to speak, because everybody's so focused on the news. But this is what I'm doing. Like several people have said to me, you know, David, you look tired, or you're so, you know, thank you for going on and on about this. This is helping me. In my attempt to help you, it's helping me. And I think therein lies one of life's greatest lessons, which is when we give, we get a lot back. That's the thing for me. And I think one of the reasons I've been such a student of sort of Oprah and why I love her so much is some of her greatest joy, she will tell you, comes from surprising and doing for other people. And the same is true for me. I knew there were people who wanted a vehicle to talk, but to see it, every time I bring on a stranger sitting on the side of Lake Michigan or in their kitchen in South Korea or the lady in New Jersey, it's like, wow, this is really something. And the community is watching. You don't have to be involved in the live, but you can watch it and still benefit from it.
Yeah, I started by just watching you, and I have to say I relate to the people who are surprised when they get called in, because I think a lot of folks, like, I just put it in the background while I'm cleaning, and it's been, you know, I don't want to be connected to the news necessarily, constantly telling me about deaths and whatever, but I do want to know what's happening. And so it's a way of knowing what's happening, like what people are living through as they're talking to you, in a way that's more conversational and humane, and more, you know, less about statistics and projections, you know, but more about like the daily life of how people are experiencing things.
That's
and
right.
So you've started to call it a town hall, but when you first started, you said it was interviews, right? So has it shifted?
Interview, because interview is sort of what I do. But it has become a bit of a town hall, right? Where everybody's involved. You can just see each other only one at a time. But now I'm calling it a virtual journal. Because, I mean, the lady who was sitting on the side of Lake Michigan, you know, I think what caught my attention was one of her comments like, David, I would love to join in. And Miss Bonilla, the beauty of this is sometimes my role is to just sit back and give people permission to go. That's it. Some of the best work I've done has involved just listening, not saying anything. I think one of the things as human beings, one of the most important gifts that we can give each other is constant eye contact. Because the eye contact is an affirmation that I hear you and that what you are saying to me matters. And that's what I want to do here, because there's a little bit of hearing somebody else's story that makes me feel a part of a community. And we all need some feeling of community right now.
Yeah, and so what have been the most memorable or surprising moments in the town hall? I liked when this one guy sang to you. That was very moving for me.
That was very cool. One of the boy, it's always the simple questions that are some of the hardest. I remember the teacher in Chicago who had her workbooks in the back of her car and set up like a drive-through for people to come and get the books. I remember the lady teaching English in South Korea who talked about how much she trusts the South Korean government and explained exactly how they're socially tracking people. I remember the lady in Germany who felt so disconnected from her family, but she was spending hours a day watching every time we've been on. I remember the flight attendant who lives in DC and is taking a month off at no pay, even though he has a family, trying to give the hours that still remain to the people who he thinks are in more need than he. There's always a process by which we judge things and we say this is boring or that's not boring. I have constantly been amazed at how every single person who's come in has added some element of value to the conversation. Everybody's story is some element of value. Just when you think, oh, they might be going on a little bit, maybe people are losing interest, they say something that makes me go, oh, that's unique. I mean, literally, every single story, I could circle one thing and say, right? And I use the term because I think life's aha moments are there we learn. You know, it's like you're listening to somebody and you're like, okay, well, you're kind of losing it. And then some people come right out the gate and you're like, aha, absolutely. Some people are like church, you know, you're clapping to them, you're pointing them at them, and you're like, I got it. And then other people, you're like, yeah, he's not really speaking to me. Oh, he spoke to me there.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's been some who, like, when you think they're done, then suddenly like this whole other door opens up. Like there was this woman last night who suddenly started talking about discrimination that she felt and people telling her that Puerto Rico had stolen $91 million and all this stuff. Like it was like suddenly this left turn. You know?
That was the mom in Louisiana whose son is finishing veterinary school in Baton Rouge, and I was not expecting that. But yeah. I do that intentionally. I always leave a little bit of space for the person to introduce something else. Right? Because this is not an interview where I'm coming to you for information. Like if I was doing an interview that had something to do with anthropology, I would come in with a set questions. I wouldn't give them to you, but like I would have an agenda, right? Like I'm coming to find out about A, B, and C. This is not an agenda-driven town hall journal. This is like, let me ask you one question. What's your new normal? And then you just kind of take us on a journey. Some people's journeys are short and the interviews are less than a minute. With other people, we go on for 5 and 6 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. And some people jump on ready to answer it, whereas others, they act almost as if you called them.
It is kind of funny. Some people you get on and I'm looking at them like, didn't you want to do this? Like, hello? Well, there was a man last night, I think he was in San Diego, who... It was interesting. There was at the beginning when he started talking, I thought, is he punking me? Like, is this a joke or something? Like he's not saying anything. And so what's going on? And then he brought in his daughter, and his 14-year-old daughter was so articulate. And I remember thinking, wow, I'm really impressed. And for whatever reason, that loosened him up. And then he just like went off and up, so everybody, I'm very comfortable in front of the camera. Not everybody is. And the funny thing is some people do not want to be brought in, but I guess they hit the button. And so several times, you bring them in live and they're like, oh, and then the phone drops and they disconnect. It's like, well, why did you press the button? Hello?
Yeah, well, it's added to the kind of, the reality TV feeling of it.
Love it.
And so you started with the question of what's your new normal. How did you choose these questions? Why normality and why fear?
So fear brings about a response that is like water coming out of a fire hose. You cannot predict where it's going to go when it's got a wide spray. And so I think fear, as I've learned by asking people that question, brings about answers that are not fear. And our fear, or more anxiety, it's a little kernel of something that lets somebody gather and then add more to it. And the new normal, just because I think nothing about what most people are doing right now is normal. So it just seemed like the obvious question. One thing I've learned about journalism is that we spend so much time crafting just fancy $35 questions that we are so proud about our questions, and then somebody else in an interview says, how do you feel? And the best answer of the whole press conference goes to the person who asked, how do you feel? What I learned is that don't overthink something. Like, are you afraid? Are you afraid? Tell me. And then it takes you 7 different ways. So I've tried to keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Yeah. But I've noticed there's also some other questions that have started to repeat themselves. Like you started to ask people about their nest eggs and stuff like that. Like what are the different trends that have come up in these interviews and things that you've started to notice or ask?
So hearing a lot about work employers not being super flexible when it comes to expressing concern about continuing to go to work. Hearing a lot about how much people either have built up for 2 or 3 months or how they think they're only good for the next week or 2. Hearing a lot about teachers who are going above and beyond to educate either online or in person to the best of their ability, dropping off packets at the front door, so on and so forth. Also hearing a lot about, I don't know. And I'm not saying I don't know, but them essentially saying, I don't know. I'm just laying in my bed, not sure what tomorrow's going to bring. And I think some of the most honest answer, we always assume that the person who is the most articulate with the best energy and eye contact is the star, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the most honest conversation comes from someone who might stutter and stop and pause and say, I don't know, because that's the truth. That is their truth in the moment. And so we've really run the gamut from great speakers to not great orators to super charismatic to people who there was one individual who came on who disclosed on the conversation that he has special needs. And there was a moment where when the interview started, I thought that I may be getting punked by somebody who was trying to play a joke, because I don't screen these. So there's a little element of danger to it. And I started to lean in and listen. And I have an aunt who has special needs. And the only thing I could keep thinking as I immediately went to think, oh no, somebody's playing a joke on me, was I asked myself, why are you judging them so quickly? And I could see in the comment section below, people were like, oh, they can play a joke on you. David, you being played. This is a troll. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't a troll. And in fact, it was an individual with special needs who disclosed it and was so grateful for the opportunity to be involved. And so it's that element of not being able to screen people and never knowing who's coming next is what kind of keeps me on the edge of my seat. You know, it's where are we about to go on the next roller coaster ride?
Yeah, I saw that one. We were able to record that one for the archive that we're creating, and I was so moved on first your grace, the way you handled it, just being so matter of fact, and I think it says a lot how he was very matter of fact calling and felt that it was a safe space and wasn't afraid, you know, to call in and was able to, I found what he had to say interesting, like his perspective of how it's affecting him given the fact that he is special needs and how, you know, what his new normal, which was already a different normal, right? So I thought that was really wonderful. And I was telling a friend, I've been struck by the diversity of people who have called in terms of ages. You would think that on Instagram it would be all like teenagers, you know, but it's really been diverse.
I will tell you this. I was so moved by a 19-year-old young man who, if I remember correctly, lives. In fact, he sent a screen grab of our shot, and I posted it on my Insta story. 19 years old, I think works at a supermarket in Philadelphia, and the wisdom that came out of that 19-year-old man's mouth at 2 a.m. this morning blew me away. And you know, there is a lot of sort of negative energy being directed at young people who are not following the guidance and the recommendations to social distance. And here was an example of a guy who is younger than millennials. Like he's super, super young, but he had such a presence of mind about wanting to protect his grandmother and cleaning off before he walks in the house and maintaining distance at the grocery store and sanitizing the baskets before he gives the people. So I love that this is also a space where people that young can come, because for the people who are watching this who are 50, 60, 70, like that's very impressionable on them. For them to see that kind of wisdom coming out of a 19-year-old's mouth. And then for the people who, as you said, are grandmothers, right? 60s, 70s, who are also on here. And I like the diversity also in gender. We're seeing gender diversity, we're seeing an age diversity, and we're seeing an ethnic diversity. Yes, are the majority Puerto Rican? Yes. But we're also seeing just some regular white folks like me, wanting to contribute.
Yeah, well, I love the guy from India today who's like, I'm Indian, but I love Puerto Rico.
Right. Exactly.
It's definitely skewing like Puerto Ricans and those who like them, you know, or who appreciate the coverage that you've done about Puerto Rico. And I actually wanted to ask you a few questions about that, you know. So, because I've been, you know, following your coverage for a long time and thinking about, you know, the unique position that you've been in and the unique reporting that you've done. So one question I had for you, so when you first arrived in Puerto Rico, and something that I've always really appreciate about you, and I think a lot of people do, is that you're very sincere and you don't pretend to know things that you don't know. And so when you showed up here, you were very honest about, you know, the fact that you didn't know a lot about Puerto Rico before coming here and, you know, had just arrived to do this story. At what point do you think you realized either that Puerto Rico was special, or that you had a connection to it, or that it was just a place that deserved more coverage? Like, what was the turning point for you?
I instantly realized on day one, after I got off the evening news, there was, but let me tell you what I realized that day. That was the day I realized I can't just leave everything on the edit room floor that didn't make it into the 2-minute story that we did. I was like, wait a minute. It felt Miss Bonilla too urgent, too necessary, too life-sustaining. And the interesting part is I didn't have much of a social media following at that point. Like, not really much at all. So it wasn't an attempt to pander to an audience. It wasn't an attempt to go out there and get something that I was looking for. It just felt urgent. And so I picked up my phone and I started talking, and I didn't know where it was going to go. This would have been the evening news ended at 6:45. We got back to the conference room at the Marriott at about 7. I probably did this first report, and I haven't even gone back to look at the first report. I would like to, but I did this first report, and we woke up the next day, and my life as I kind of had known it had changed. But the reality is I never stopped to become self-aware of it. I was
how did it change?
It changed because hundreds of thousands of people were now following what I was doing. But I wasn't aware of it because I wasn't sitting there reading the comments. Because the information that people needed to know and people needed to be told was so urgent and so voluminous that there was never a moment, I guarantee you there was never a moment where I ever sat down and said, wow, let's go through this. What are never did. I would hear from my colleagues, so-and-so saying this, so-and-so is saying this. But it was just, and I tell this story regularly. The Marriott one night, I'm having dinner with a colleague, John LaPook. The general manager of the Marriott comes over and he taps me on the shoulder and he says, I need your help. And I'm thinking, well, if you need my help, we must be in some real trouble. So he says, the Children's Hospital in San Juan is about to run out of diesel. I have diesel, I will give it to them, but we don't have the apparatus to connect from my hose to their intake, and we need help. Now, why the hell would I be able to help with that? And I should have maybe, it would have been very human for me to think, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. But I jumped up like there was something I could do. And I remember going into the front desk portion of the hotel, and a representative from the island who serves in the assembly, I think, or the House of Representatives, as they call it there, said, I just want to say hello and thank you. And I said, nice to meet you, but I need some help. And he said, well, let me go to the convention center. I'll get on right now. Bottom line is, the next day, the diesel was given from the Marriott to the Children's Hospital. And I realized then that I wasn't there to just do a morning report and an evening report. The reporting never stopped. It just never stopped. And it was unlike any reporting I've ever done. Ever. I've never done anything like that. But then I think it's because I've never covered something that involved a catastrophic collapse. Everything as we knew it there collapsed. The government collapsed. This healthcare system collapsed. Like nothing worked, not a single thing. So my urgency and sense of urgency was not feigned in any way. It was real, because that really was what was happening. It's only after the fact that I was able to look back and go, wow, that turned into something, didn't it? You know, you could almost do like an academic case study on it to understand how it became the lifeline. And so the reason I call journalism a lifeline today is because of what I learned in Puerto Rico, because of what the people who stopped me in the airports and the bodegas and the movie theaters tell me. It was a lifeline because I would have had no other way to get information. That's when somebody like me goes, whoa, we're doing serious business here. This is real serious. So I walked away from Puerto Rico with a reverence for journalism that I didn't have before. Because in all fairness, it's hard to be reverent about something that you haven't walked through. You can hear people speak of reverence. You can hear people preach to you about how it's a public service. But until you go through it, it's hard to fully get it.
How do you feel about, you said you were, doing all this reporting and, just a little snippet of it managed to get on the news, so you turn to social media. How do you feel about the fact that Puerto Rico is not more present in mainstream news, especially after the hurricane?
It frustrates me consistently. And the reason it doesn't sort of boil over for me is because I have this. I have the place to ensure that it is heard, and something I get such joy from is running into someone who has no connection to Puerto Rico, is not Puerto Rican, and maybe doesn't know anybody who's Puerto Rican, who starts telling me about issues in Puerto Rico because they're following my coverage.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, okay, this is working here, because we need random people to be aware of what's happening. Yes, it's important to keep the Puerto Ricans informed, and arguably, of course, they're going to come to it because they want the information. But the lady in Arizona is interested in it too. The lady in San Francisco and, Fresno. So that's what I really love, is getting those people to kind of sit up and pay attention.
Yeah. No, I agree, because as an educator, I always tell people what's most important. When they're like, what can I do for Puerto Rico? Where can I donate? I'm like, I think the most important thing is to raise consciousness, because everything that happens in terms of U.S. policy towards Puerto Rico happens in great part because they count on the silence around the U.S. territories and the ignorance around them, which I always tell my students to not feel bad about their ignorance, because it's the product of a systemic silencing.
Can I, oh, that's powerful. Systemic silencing. Can I add something to that? I think it is my ignorance which drove me to do what I did in Puerto Rico, and let me explain. I was not aware of the colonial relationship with the United States and the history. I was not aware of the feeling of second-class citizenship. I was not aware that Puerto Rico didn't have voting representation in the Congress. So I went there and I said, as I saw injustices playing out in front of me, beginning with the slow response, I said, well, this is BS. This is unacceptable. And what I encountered were people who were like, oh yeah, but it is, and oh yeah, but it is. And I remember thinking, oh, no, we're going to ring that bell 5 times until they hear it. And we're going to call him, and we're going to call her, and I think that naivete and that ignorance served me well. Because had I gone into the hurricane aware of everything I'm aware of now, I might have sat back and been like, well, yeah, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is down here,
Yeah. Which I think for a lot of local reporters, sometimes we're so used to hear certain aspects of the colonial situation that they don't really get us indignant in the same way. I mean, there's a kind of constant indignation. But since we're not discovering it for the first time, and I have to admit, sometimes, my friends and we text, we're like, oh, look at David, he's discovering colonialism, isn't he cute, but I think that has, I absolutely agree with you that has allowed for a certain level of reporting that folks here don't necessarily do, because it's our bread and butter, And so I guess that's a question I had for you too, is what has been your relationship to local journalists, and how do you think about them in relationship to what you're doing?
So I think one thing I want to continue to do more of is support them, because I just want to support my own. The language barrier for me is consistently difficult, because I am not able to benefit from fully understanding what their reporting is consistently beyond what Google Translate tells me. And so I reached out to Carla, for example, who runs the Center for Investigative Reporting, because I wanted to get the English article regarding the epidemiologist on the island who has been making some misleading statements at a time when misinformation can lead to death. And so she said to me, absolutely, we're getting it up. And I was actually on the island, as many of you know, for the earthquakes, and they asked me to do a fundraiser for them. And I said, I'm happy to. And so at the fundraiser, one of the things that I asked of them, really the only thing that I asked, was, please send me as much as you can in English. Because Lord knows I want to amplify it and highlight it, but I am really hobbled by the fact that I don't speak Spanish. I don't let it discourage me to the point where I back away and stop doing it. But if I were to factor in, Ms. Bonilla, all the time it takes me from relying on wonderful people to help me translate, or me on Google Translate, It is hundreds of hours. I couldn't even tell you. So I follow the work of journalists. I also, I went to one of the universities when I was there for Puerto Rico Live, PR Live. That would have been in January. And one of the things I told the students was there were some allegations in the Ricky chats that some organizations appeared to be somewhat in bed with the government. And one thing I do not like doing is shaming other people, because I got a lot of shame as a child for being gay and having Tourette's. And so projecting shame on other people is not a place that I go to. Mm-hmm. But you can speak to someone who's doing something wrong and sort of guide them. And so what I told these students at the university was, if a politician is your friend, you're probably getting off on the wrong foot. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to ask some tough questions. That politician will try and say, now come on, are you really going to do that to me? And that starts to lead down a slippery slope. So what I also want to say to the journalists in Puerto Rico is I want to empower them and support them into saying, you should not allow yourself to be bullied, so that you get into this point where you're kind of in bed when the next thing you know, the government calls and there's a little back pat here and a back pat there and all kinds of. So again, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying that I don't run in those circles, and I realize that I don't pretend to know how journalists on the island feel. I support them. I want to empower them. I want to help them in any way that I can. But I also want to say that the standards and practices of CBS News are some really strong standards and practices. And some of the journalists on the island have come to me and said, I've learned a lot from you when it comes to the standards of how you do journalism. So yeah, that's the best way to answer that question. And I am friendly with some of them, and they are very helpful in sending tips to me. And I'm very helpful. Just the other day, I did the story of the lady, the nutritionist who died at the hospital, who was tested for COVID-19, and her body sat in the back of a vehicle for 5 hours because the Forensic Sciences Center didn't want to receive it, and the cremation didn't want to receive it, out of an abundance of precaution. And I could not sit here in my own home thinking about that lady there. It was eating me apart. And so there was a journalist who reached out to me when I published the story and said, where is that funeral home? I'd like to call them. And I shared the information. I want to share it. Like, the story needs to get out. And if you guys are interested in it, here's the details.
Yeah. I think a lot of folks here are grateful because, you have such a platform, and you feature something and something happens, It's same with the first patient from Dr. Cabanilla. Like, when he had already denounced, the local journalists had given him space. It's not like the journalists here are insensitive. But that doesn't get her necessarily, but CBS News, gets involved, and suddenly he gets tested,
But I will say that, and that is an unavoidable thing. I know that there is probably among some journalists on the island resentment that David comes in, he does something, and there's a change. I'm mindful of that. I'm not unaware of it. But I also don't want to back away just to make other people feel comfortable, because it's important. Dr. Cabanillas, let me tell you, let me walk you through how that happened. I got a message from an account that had no profile photo on Twitter. And that's the first place that you should probably run away. Like, if somebody sends you a tweet, and he said, I think the first message said, I have some information about a patient. And I responded and I said, dear sir, unless you have firsthand information, I'm really not interested in da-da-da-da-da. Well, he responded with a list this long of everything about the patient. And I remember thinking, well, this guy must be legit. So then he sent me another bit about some other patients at another hospital. And I said, sir, I only want to stick to what you know to be the case. Who are you? Well, he sent me his name, and I Googled it. And it popped up, and there was an El Nuevo Dia article and this and that. And I was like, well, this guy sounds like he's legit. Okay, let me get him on the phone. So I called him. And of course, he's so well respected. And that makes me happy that we were able to get it done. Because if that man can't get the Department of Public Health to test a patient after a week, and it took this, That, Miss Bonilla, is the reason why I take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
No, you were saying that there might be some people who might have some resentment or feel some kind of way about, you know, the ability of that you're able to make things move. But I think that everyone really respects you because you are aware of that. You know, there's people who have power or privilege and aren't aware of it, you know? And so I think the fact that you know that you have that and you wield it very responsibly, I think, you know, we really respect you here in Puerto Rico. And a lot of the folks that I talk to, I have a lot of friends who are journalists. I write in the paper as well.
You do.
And you know, I think we feel that you have a role to play, you know, that and it's an important role. I'm particularly moved by how so many Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico in the diaspora who don't speak Spanish, who can't access you know, CPI's Spanish coverage, who can't even access Univision, which is all in Spanish. You know, there's really not a lot of platforms for that community, and that's something that's really moved me about the town halls too, seeing Puerto Rican from Alabama and from, you know, all these kind of unexpected places. And so, you know, those people are not being reached, you know, in other platforms. So I think that's something really important that you're contributing. And I don't think that there is a lot of resentment. I think, you know, people are happy that you're able to do that and that you're able to contribute. I think if you weren't moving the platforms that you have access to, then people would get salty, you know, because it's like, why isn't, if he's able to do something and doesn't do it, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
The other comment I was going to say, you know, you were saying at some point in these town halls about only you can be you, and like we're all kind of individual, you know, like there's these particularities that you bring to this context. And I think one of them, perhaps your struggle with Tourette's, etc., and the way that you manage it, I think makes you really open to engaging with Puerto Ricans, not being frustrated by language difference, by accents. You know, you're kind of really open to people communicating and being able to share their stories with you. And I think that has been part of what has, you know, allowed people to feel so connected to you. But one question I wanted to ask you is, you know, since you started your coverage of Hurricane Maria, you've gone up through a lot of personal transformations. You really like opened up on social media. You've come out. I don't know. I feel like you are in lots of ways, like you said before, living your dream, living your best life. You know, to what extent did the coverage in Puerto Rico have this shift for you personally?
Well, so now you're asking a question that I told my mentor about a week ago. I have not answered publicly and I think honestly, but I will do it here. When you in life experience love from a person or a group of people that is both relentless and non-judgmental, it has a way of forcing you to drop any and all facades you have left. And I think what happened was the combination of the appreciation, the validation, and the support that I received changed me as a human being. I have grown more in the last 4 years than I did in the 20 prior. Sure, I grew taller, but I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually. So, and the reason I sort of have a lower tone when I talk about it is this happened during a tragedy on the backs of other people. And it's difficult for me to have this sort of reflective moment talking about, you know, how much it evolved me as a person when it was such a tragedy. And so that's why I don't talk about it too much. That's why I'm uncomfortable to talk about it. But if I'm being 100% honest, that's what caused it. That's what brought it about.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. The idea of it being relentless and non-judgmental, that I can see that. That's Puerto Rican love, especially the relentless part. Yeah. But you know, I actually really identify with all of that, including the difficulty in talking about it, because I feel like for myself too, after Hurricane Maria, I really had a pivot professionally. I started doing a lot more public scholarship. it also allowed me to meet a ton of people doing really interesting work, and it kind of opened up a whole new world for me, and made me happier, you know, of how it allowed me to get out of the ivory tower and to engage with other folks, a lot of activists, a lot of artists, and it's brought all this joy and beauty and connection to my life, and it does feel weird for that to come out of tragedy, right? But
Exactly.
I think though that what I've done, and I think what you do also, is just to make sure that no one says I'm not using those connections and not trying to leverage all that towards some kind of repair from that damage, you know, in the way that I can, which is not journalism, but more, you know, research. But I think that, you know, being grateful for those gifts that come out of that experience, I think is really important. And I do think you model that very well.
When you walk away with a gift, whether it's physical or whether it's an emotional gift, it leaves you, there's a reason when someone gives us a gift, we say thank you. There's a reason when someone does a random act of kindness, we feel something and we want to give it. I feel the need to not let people down. I feel the need to not let the people of Puerto Rico down because they've given me so much. Again, when I talk about this platform, this is a platform that was given to me by them. I didn't build this platform. I didn't spend money to get it to where it is. This was a platform given to me by them. That's deep. That's heavy, right? And so I'm not going to walk away from that platform, and I certainly don't want to let those people down.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful, and I'm always really struck by how you are a reporter for a national, you know, mainstream, super mainstream, right, media outlet. It's not Univision. It's not geared towards a Latino audience, and yet you have such a strong Latino fan base. And how does that? Do you think that helps you or hinders you within CBS News?
I think it adds something to CBS News that wouldn't exist if I.
But do they encourage it? Do they encourage it, or do you have to fight to get Puerto Rico news on, or do they see that as an asset that you bring?
They see it as a unique asset, and even they are interested by it because you would anticipate that someone who was Latino or Latina would be the person who did that. But here's David, and David's the one that brings that audience, right? Or a significant part of that audience. But it's not easy. And I say this with all due respect. My organization has spent tens of thousands of dollars allowing me and my team to go down there and tell stories. But it's not easy. I feel like it is consistently pushing a boulder uphill. And I sometimes get frustrated, and I don't understand why it's so damn hard sometimes, because to me it seems so obvious. There are tens of millions of people, you know, I mean, it's like, and it comes down to this. Like, I will do a story about issues related to Puerto Rico or something, and it will be the most trafficked, engaged thing that happens all day.
Wow.
And so I sort of sit back sometimes and I go, okay, remind me why that was so difficult to, like, you know, and again, I'm not putting anybody on blast here. My company has led the way. We have done more, arguably, than any other company. I'm talking about of the main broadcast networks, the English language. But it's still difficult. It's still difficult. And it gets me riled up. It gets me riled up. And there are times where I don't get what I want, and the answer is no. And I come here to do it. And I am okay with that, because you know what? It feels good sometimes because there may be no room for it in terms of the show is full and there's not enough time, or, you know, maybe the cost is more than they want to spend. There's a lot of reasons that I respect. But then when I do the report, and the engagement is 1 million and 2 million, I'm like, so I wasn't crazy. There's some interest there, and maybe we should have done it. So it's a constant tug and pull, and I'm okay. Look, life is not easy. There are things in life that are a
Mhm.
constant tug and pull. I'll tell you, Miss Bonilla, one thing I'd like to do is I would like to evolve into a way where I do some kind of collaboration with either Univision, you know, Telemundo's NBC, and so it wouldn't work because I'm CBS. But you know, if one day I was doing some kind of collaborative work with Univision, I would really like that because I don't project to know everything about the audience, but I certainly know enough to be able to add a voice to it. And I don't know. I'm sort of just putting that out there. I've said it before, and let's see how that happens. I'd love to collaborate with them.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of interesting things about what you're saying, because what you're talking about of being frustrated, of having to push for their stories. I mean, that's what a lot of Latinos in newsrooms face, but it shows that it's not about the person, but about the topic. You know, like the difficulty of getting these topics, you know, covered in a kind of mainstream way. But I think it's really important for those topics to not only be covered by Latinos, to not be kind of ghettoized, like, okay, this is the like boutique little, you know, pet interest of Latino reporters. But no, these are issues that can interest any reporter and that can interest a broad audience also, you know?
Yeah. And you know, here's the thing. I was actually watching the town hall recently with Oprah about the book, you know, American Dirt, and the controversy that has come about. And there were a lot of people there who were like, this is our story to tell. And I remember sitting on the couch here being like, oh no. And I had, oh no, meaning this. I had a moment where I was like, wow, I am lucky that that they accept a white guy who doesn't speak the language to be someone who can be a voice for them. I mean, that almost feels like a privilege. And that had not really hit me until I watched them saying, wait, it's our story. And when you come in and try and tell, I was like, oh shit, that's what I do. I tell their story. Wow, what a privilege for them to allow me to do that. So yeah.
But I think what you do is a little different. I noticed, for example, that you put out a lot of calls asking people, tell me what you want to hear about. Tell me who I should talk to. Give me tips. You know, I think you do recognize that it's not your story that you are trying to come here and find, but that you want to know what is other people's stories, and you recognize that it's not your story, right?
Listen, when Rosselló, okay, so somebody just sent me a message saying you're about to get cut off. So they cut me off at an hour. So why don't we do this? Why don't we conclude this one? I'll share it to my story. I'll come right back up and I'll bring you in.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.